This is an audio journal of the men who will not accept the decline of Western civilization. Today's voices are the rolling baritone of William Gibson, the growling bass of Gabriel Stolaas, and I, your host, Micah Sheldon. Join us on our quest to save the West through the path of virtue and valor. Before I begin today's topic of time management, William, can you please give us an explanation of why we are seeking the noble spirit?
Absolutely. So the reason we're seeking the noble spirit is we've already all experienced, hard points in our life where stuff goes wrong, and we realize that we need support to make it through it. And I think there will be times where that's going to happen to a great many.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference between some people making it will be whether or not, their neighbors next to them had the strength to put them on their shoulders.
Somebody
I think that comes through strength of spirit and strength of body.
which translates to virtue and valor. So, today we are talking about time management. Now, time management is ultimately the difference between being a leader or a dreamer, because everybody can say that they want something or dream of something, but in order to get that thing done, you have to make time for it. Will, can you elaborate on this a little bit?
Yeah, I just think I really agree with the distinction that it's doers and it's dreamers. Not that like dreamers aren't valuable, but just that if you want to get stuff done,
Right.
you have to know how to use your resources.
Right.
And time is a huge resource, and we can often get stuck in it. And there's just a lot of actors working against us,
Yeah.
making an impact on this world. And if you're gonna swim upstream,
Right.
you gotta really know how to swim.
Right.
You gotta really be a good salmon about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think we can all understand the example of having a group chat or a friend group where, there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of sound and noise about, oh, let's go do this thing, or we want to try this thing. But it takes somebody to step up and propose a time, propose a place, make that plan. And that's ultimately what time management is about, making a plan. Having good time management means that you're the one that makes the thing in the group chat happen. You're the one that makes the thing in your personal life happen. And that's immediately going to set you as a leader versus a dreamer just thinking about stuff. Gabe, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, for one, that's how you get the girls. For one thing, they love it when you pick the restaurant.
Yeah.
Um, but when I get up in the morning, I try to do it. I'm not a perfect person, but I try to say to myself, I have something to do in the morning. I just say, do it now, do it now, do it now, do it now. And I try to train my brain into taking action rather than thinking, oh well, I have this. I need to be there at 2, and I can do this later. I can get it if I start at 12. I can get it done in time. And then you just put into procrastinating, and you kind of set your mindset into a way of like that's not healthy. You just end up delaying it.
yeah.
Yep. If you want to improve your situation, if you want to get out of the rut that you're in, whatever your plan is will require time. And at least in my life, what prevents me from improving is I end up getting my time wasted because I am distracted by something else. So I want to get big in the gym, but I never have time for the gym. But somehow I have time for YouTube and video games,
Right.
Or maybe it's like I need to apply to a new job, but somehow every time I get on my computer, I end up getting distracted
Right.
instead of applying to jobs. Really, it seems to me that the difference between me and the life that I want to live is the fact that I'm getting distracted. I don't make time for the necessary changes. Gabe?
Yeah.
Last night I got a phone call from a friend and 2 friends actually. And they really wanted me to come work for them at their company. They just had a spot open up and they really want me to come work. And I got home late last night. It was probably about 10:30. My friend wanted to play League of Legends.
Right.
And I'm like,
Well,
I
there it
really
is.
love to play League of
Yeah.
Legends right now.
Yeah.
All right. But I had to say no.
Yeah.
Because I knew I needed to turn in that application immediately.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and my computer was running slow, which was really irritating. But had some chicken and made some food and then sat down and submitted the application. Because I knew if I didn't,
Right.
not only would I regret and just get the application in late, I'd probably still get the job. But even if I did it late, subconsciously it would bother me that I talk about doing these things, do it now, and I can't even apply it to my life.
Right.
Instead, I end up playing video games. So I knew if I woke up in the morning, I'd be like, man, I'm kind of a loser because I couldn't even stay up till 11:30 or 12 doing submitting an application instead of playing video games.
Right.
So,
Right.
Yeah, and actually, this is a bit of a tangent, but in terms of quality of life, I've discovered that if you're trying to have fun and goof off when you have a bunch of things weighing down on you that you need to get doing, you don't have as much fun.
It's not the same.
You, in order to have a high quality of life and of enjoyment, you really should, like, when you get the stuff that you're supposed to do done, you're able to enjoy life so much more. And so yeah.
Fun is overrated anyways.
Yep.
A man doesn't
Yeah.
need fun to be happy. He needs purpose.
Yeah. And a sense of accomplishment.
Especially when you start growing up. Yes, when you start growing up, like, I mean, we talk about how we miss the days of being a teenager, staying up till 3 or 5. I once stayed till 7 a.m. till sunrise playing League of Legends. It was crazy. But I was like 16,
Right.
and we want those days back so badly. I mean, we've been unemployed for a certain amount of time now, off and on between jobs, and the first week is great.
Yeah.
But then you get to 2 weeks, and it's like, kind of feel like a loser.
Yep.
This kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't have fun anymore. I can't
Yeah.
sit and enjoy video games like I used to. I have to. There's this burning desire that God gives in men to be successful,
Yeah.
and yeah, we just can't go back.
Right.
I think I would like to, but I know I wouldn't be happy going back to just wasting my life.
Absolutely. And that's good. That's maturity. If you've ever hung out with people that are older than you and all they want to do is goof off, it's a very strange feeling.
Yeah.
And if you've ever experienced that, that's a sign that you were meant to be a leader. You were meant to be a noble person and not just another goober.
Yeah, another goober,
Another goober.
Yeah.
All of this comes back to you're unhappy with your life, you're feeling mediocre, you want to achieve your dreams. And in order to actually make those dreams come true, it just starts with making a plan, figuring out what you need to do to get the ball rolling, and taking that time back from YouTube, from, God forbid, weed or League of Legends, Netflix.
Yeah, God forbid League of Legends.
You got to get that time back. There's a phrase that is irritating, but it's very true. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. And so you meet that friend and he's going to the gym, or you meet that friend that's building up their business and you're jealous. But the truth is, what is he doing that I'm not doing is, what you should be asking yourself. It's like, am I wasting my time doing something I shouldn't be doing? How exactly do we get better at time management? Will, you mentioned the Pomodoro technique.
Yes.
Can you elaborate about that for a little bit?
Absolutely. So the Pomodoro technique, although I'm not an expert, is all about thinking about time in chunks instead of like vast swaths, like hours.
Right.
Because I don't know about y'all, but like when I try to sit down, like I'm gonna be productive for 4
Right.
hours, it's hard for that to be rewarding.
Yeah.
And sometimes I, nose to the grindstone, it works,
Right.
But more often, like I get distracted or I burn out or it's just a long time to focus,
Yeah.
I don't think our brains were meant to focus for that long,
Right.
and that specifically. But the technique, the idea is instead of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sit down for 2 hours and do this thing, think of it differently. What they do is they set 25-minute timers,
Right.
and then you work for 25 minutes. And then when that 25 minutes is up, start a 5-minute timer. This is just to breathe.
Right.
This is to relax. This is to do something else. This is to get your brain off the work.
Right.
Because human brains were kind of meant to process.
Yeah.
This is why we sleep. They were meant to take breaks. For memorization, like when you're studying, it's really important to not just like jam it all out, but to like take pauses. That's why good speakers will pause on ideas and they'll actually take sips of water.
Yeah.
So you can process the ideas they just said.
I didn't realize.
So your brain works best when it has time to process.
Right.
And this is a great way to like work with your brain instead of against your brain. Okay, I'm going to work for 25 minutes and then I'm going to stop and just do something else for 5 minutes.
Right.
And just breathe, and then, okay, let's work for 25 minutes again. And just do that however many times you want, but it's the idea of, thinking of time in some other kind of way.
Yeah.
It's not just, oh, they're all hours, and I'm going to succeed or screw up the hour, but it's, okay, how can I productively use this time? Knowing myself, knowing
Right.
my distractions, knowing how many billions of dollars they've put into making phones addictive. How can I work against that? Because
Right.
I don't think you can I don't think you can win
Right.
against all those billions of dollars unless you're really intentional about it.
Unless you're really intentional about it. Yeah. I really like that.
I work hard and I do my work, and then I come home from work and do things around the house. But it's always important to take a little bit of time to relax and rejuvenate.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody can just work 24/7.
Right.
Not forever.
Yeah. Not even Elon Musk. He plays, what's that video game? I don't remember what it's called.
Elden Ring.
Something like that. Yeah. He plays.
He
video
probably
games.
does.
He's probably gonna be the first trillionaire. But
Yeah.
you know, if you're married, you know, you come home, you spend time with your wife and kids, or your children. Maybe you watch a movie with them, or if you're single, maybe you read a book
Right.
for a little bit, for an hour maybe.
Right.
Or maybe play a couple of video games for an hour, just a way to relax, rejuvenate, and get yourself ready for the next day. That's what I do.
Yeah. What Will and Gabe talked about resting makes me think of the gym. So when I was younger, I really struggled with fitness, but I've been getting a lot better at it. Two ways that I do that is breaking down the exercises into sets, right? So it's like I'm going to do this thing
yeah.
for 5 reps, and then I'm
Nice.
going to pause for 3 minutes, and then I'm going to go back to and do another 5 reps.
Nice.
And having kind of like what Will said about breaking the time into those chunks and being very intentional about it. I don't just go in there and sling the weights around until I feel tired.
Yeah.
I make very clear goals of what I'm going to do every minute, and that really helps me get my goals done. And then the second part is it actually ironically takes patience to get things done faster, where you don't do everything you want, but you do 70% of it and you say that's good enough. I'm going to rest. I'm going to let myself recover, and then I'm going to come back even stronger. And that's kind of what you said, Gabe, about you got to let yourself rejuvenate. You know, you got to understand that your brain is a muscle, that
right.
even studying wearies your flesh. You can't just do it indefinitely. I think also that procrastination and laziness is caused by people being a little bit unrealistic about what they can get done. Every procrastinator I know,
Yeah.
including myself, you know, you procrastinate when you have this mysterious idea that you can do all of your homework Sunday night, you know, and it's like, it's okay. I'm playing video games at Sunday 5 p.m., but I can get it done between 8 and 10 o'clock.
My dad once told me, it's a line that he would always often tell me when I was growing up, was real life first, fantasy life second.
Yeah. I've said this, I think, last podcast, and I will say it again because I love it so much, but the toughest guy I ever met would always say, know your limitations. Be realistic about what you can actually accomplish. And so when you know that you can only get a couple things done each day, start the day with those things. Don't start the day with all the haha fun times, because then you won't have time for the real things.
And it sets the speed that way.
Yeah.
If you want to set your speed for like accomplishing things, you can't like start off. You know, it's the same idea which like eating healthily.
Yeah.
Like if you want to be productive, you can't just start off like eating a bunch of fatty foods and then just comatosing.
Right.
You have to kind of like show it and like tell your body, I'm
Right.
being productive, you know? Like
Right.
we'll have fun.
Right.
But I find for myself at least, it's really hard to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get home and then play like just 2 hours of games.
Right.
Just 2 hours of games. And then I'll be productive for 2 hours, I'm
Yeah.
sure. It's like, well, you know, definitely rest, but like you said, know your limitations.
Yeah.
It's about setting tone.
That's why people don't drink in the morning,
Yeah.
because you know you can't enjoy doing fun things. You can't enjoy those things if you start your day goofing off.
Right.
But if you start your day with a mission and you do everything that you know you need to do it now, you can enjoy those things, the labor of your work,
Right.
later.
This, I have no real science to back this up. This is Micah Sheldon's pseudoscience.
Okay.
But when you do dopamine-rich activities like video games, remember, dopamine is the reward chemical.
Right.
You can actually use it all up. You use up your store of dopamine for the day. So if you've noticed, if you play video games or you eat junk food or you do goof off things in the morning, you're going to have no motivation to do hard work later. But if you do the hard work first, when you do the fun things, the reward feels even better.
Absolutely.
And so try to see your body as this like machine. It has, or that has a very specific order of how it's supposed to do things. And if you get that order out of whack, it's going to throw your, I guess we could say, metabolism or your internal clock completely off.
Yeah.
Will just went on a run this morning with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Talk about it for a second.
It was a great time. I hurt. My legs feel light afterwards. We did a nice lap around the neighborhood. It was like 1.2 miles because we're trying to work up to a 5K in October.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what you wanted me to say.
You know, he feels great now, right? When you start your morning with the sucky hard thing,
Yeah.
where you're sweating and your legs are hurting, but now you feel awesome. Your energy is high. You feel awake.
It sucked waking up. I'm gonna be honest, you know. And we have this backup plan where she'll call me and then I'm not downstairs, she'll throw rocks at my window because it hits really hard. And then like, okay, it's just really hard to get out of bed. And then afterwards, like, there's always a moment where I'm like, Becca, my legs feel light.
Yeah.
My legs feel like clouds. Like I could do anything.
Right.
So, and it always like the day is always better.
Life hack: get a girlfriend that bullies you into exercising.
It throws rocks at your window. Thanks, Becca. Shout out.
So, but if you start your day with the hard thing, then your metabolism is up, your body's awake, and everything else is easy from there. Yeah, really, really try to see those reward fun things for what they are. They're treats, they're rewards, they're relaxation, but they really are not how you're supposed to start your day. You know, going back to what I said at the very beginning about leaders being the people that make plans, what we're trying to do here is help those around us. We're not just getting big and strong and successful for our own sakes, we're doing it for those around us. And one of the best ways that we can improve our friends and coworkers' lives is by being that guy that makes a plan.
Yeah.
That turns their dreams, their talk into reality. When you've got that shy friend that's always, wants to do this one thing, but they never seem to be able to round up the group. If you're able to round up the group, then you're helping them too. You're doing it for their sake.
So one of the biggest things I think in today's society is the victimizing of people. People wanting to think themselves as victims.
Yeah.
And that sets you up for failure.
Right.
Because, well, it's easy to be a victim. And what happens when you're a victim? Well, when you're a victim, you automatically have a built-in excuse for failure. When you're a victim, it's always somebody else's fault. When you're a victim, success is not possible. When you're a victim of something, you are acknowledging that you are as far as you're going to get, and you can't get any further because there are more powerful forces arrayed against you than the force of yourself against it.
It's real tempting to make excuses initially because it takes that load of responsibility off yourself. When people are yelling at you, you say, "Oh, it's not my fault. I didn't get my coffee this morning. I had a horrible day." At first it's tempting, but the secret problem to being a victim that bites you in the butt later is you're training yourself to think that you have no say. You can't change things.
That's the problem. Yeah.
And then what was that last bit you said? The victim, they can't have any victory, they can't have any success.
Oh yeah, well, when you're a victim, you automatically have a built-in excuse for failure.
A built-in excuse for failure. There you go.
Yeah, can I say something with that?
Yeah.
That to me ties back to, the big thing I've learned about hope, right? And trying to find the one way in which you win.
Right.
Like, and it's not entirely a lie about victimhood because like people are dealt bad cards.
Right.
And sometimes like literally, it's harder on me that day.
Right.
But as much as that's true, like that's not the only truth.
Yeah.
And as much as that's true, and it can be like, in a sense, sometimes it can be healing to like let go of that. Like it's not my fault.
Right.
In some stories, like it's not my fault my parents bullied me. Like that's
Sure.
good for you. But if you want to make change,
Yeah.
you have to understand where you have agency and where you don't.
Right.
As much as it's fair, like sometimes you don't have a lot of control.
Right.
There's always a way in which you do.
Yes.
And if you're ever going to do anything with it, you
Right.
have to recognize something I can do about this.
Right.
What is it I can do? Like, what's the one world in which I win?
Amen.
So I think the big problem with victimhood is it steals your sense of agency,
Yeah.
which steals your sense of influence.
Right. To briefly touch on this, you mentioned multi-billion dollars spent to waste our time making phones addictive.
Yeah.
Something that a picture that I want to paint to you is that we might not live in an age of heroes and dragons and monsters or wolves or Vikings, but we actually kind of do. We live in an age when corporations prowl like hungry lions, seeking to devour your money, your time, your energy. Everybody wants your time. Everybody wants you to watch their show, listen to their podcast, play their game, buy their product, waste time doing the things that they want. You have to see your time as your resource, as your gold, as your life force. And you can't just give it up to these vampires and wolves and lions that are trying to take it away from you.
Yeah.
So you, in a sense, are a hero in a dark age, trying to regain your agency, regain your power, so that you can help those around you, so you can actually do the things you want to do in life, instead of giving up 45 minutes of your day to this, giving up an hour of your day to that. I think it's very important to remember that these big companies, I actually think there are spiritual forces in the world as well, demons, that they want you to waste your time. They don't want you to be noble. They don't want us to enter an age of heroism and valor and nobility. They want you to be miserable, distracted, unhappy, and desperate, a victim, because that's when they can make money off of you. That's what they can bend you to their will. This is where it stops. This is where it changes. We're not going to be victims anymore. We take back agency one step at a time, and this is the first step of how we do it. Gabe, can you talk about your 2 ways that you are productive in a day?
I wake up in the morning, and your first thought really should be on what, as a man, what does God want you to be? And God has put us on this earth for a reason.
Yeah.
And we all have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And we need to redeem the time that God has given to us.
Redeem the time. Yeah.
So you think to yourself, okay, you have a goal, something on your mind. You think, God wants me to do this. I think God wants me to do this. And remember that God can't steer a fence post. What that means is, you have to be heading a direction.
Right.
For Him to steer you. If you're just standing still, you can't steer anything that stands still.
Right.
So, just have your goal. Pray that God will direct you in the path that you want, that He wants you to go. Because any time spent outside of the will of God is a waste of time.
Right.
And so, just start. If you want to be a businessman or a politician, a governor of Alabama or something, who knows? Just dwell. Keep your mind on those things throughout the day.
Right.
Just constantly think. And the more you think about something, the more likely it is to happen.
Yeah. And really, kind of what I'm hearing you say, Gabe, is I'm kind of hearing you say, like, the strategy is a mindset of stewardship. Is to remember that, like, the time you've been given.
Yeah.
And if it's going to work, you need to work at it.
Right.
And it's remembering, that this was given to me. I can make of this what I can.
It also helps to make a list. I did this several months ago now. Make a list of your goals, and every day try to at least do a bare minimum of one thing every day to move yourself closer to completing those goals.
Yeah. Just to quickly add on to that, the importance of making a list and checking it off is it helps encourage you, where you get that sense of accomplishment. You can see how you're getting better, just to have that encouragement of seeing, okay, I'm doing stuff. I'm getting closer.
Yeah, there's actually so much satisfaction in checking something off your list.
Absolutely.
Especially
it's real.
Especially if it's a life goal. It's so much fun checking things off your list.
Yeah. That's a strategy I've noticed people have for some people have for changing habits.
Yeah.
Or overcoming addictions.
Yeah.
Is it's not just like shunning dopamine, but it's like using it.
Right.
So, like, unfortunately, there are some things that are tactile and that are naturally rewarding, like stuff on the phone.
Yeah.
Like doing your Duolingo for the day. But there's stuff that isn't tactile naturally, and it just helps like tie that into something. And like, one example is someone will have a calendar of like, the 30 days.
Right.
And every day they do the thing, they just get a big Sharpie and they put a big X on the day.
Right.
And that act of just like putting the big X on the day just kind of feels good, man. Like, I did the thing.
Yeah.
And so it's turning that practice of like, okay, the thing you want to do, and actually turning it into like a little ritual,
right,
a little reminder of like, hey, I did this thing, and let's make it a moment.
Right.
And it can really help. And it helps for tracking the habit, but it also helps for just like, no, I get to do this, and then I get to put the X on the thing.
Right.
And that does feel good. And I did do this, didn't I?
Yeah.
So that's real.
So if I understand that properly, find the thing that is frustrating. It doesn't come naturally to you. You don't have a sense of accomplishment, and then have some ritual that gives you that sense of reward and accomplishment for those frustrating things.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. If you can at all gamify your battle, then go for it. And make sure it's still productive and everything. But if you can find a way to make your struggle fun, that's free.
Right.
Like, yeah, you can just swim upstream all the time, but if you can find a way to instead swim downstream, do the same thing, that's magic, right? So for instance, like, I'm lucky to date somebody wonderful.
Yeah.
Who's super fun. And as it turns out, she loves running.
Yeah.
And I'm bad at waking up in the morning, but she helps me do that. So if I can schedule in my, calendar, like, okay, I'm going to go run with Becca these mornings.
Right.
I'll wake up early and I'll run. And okay, that's a lot more approachable than if I was just like, I'm going to screw it. I don't care how late I'm going to bed. I'm waking up 3 hours early on Sunday. I'm going to run. That's like, yes, that's doing the same thing, but it's not doing it wisely.
You had to make that plan, that schedule. Right.
Yes. But I'm finding the way that the thing I want to do is fun.
Yes.
And I'm doing it that way.
There you go.
It happens to you with Becca, but there's other ways to do it too. You can do it with other buddies. You can do it with music, or you can do it while listening to something you want to listen to. You can run somewhere, do a race.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah. So what I've taken away from this is you want to gamify the things that you find frustrating. You want to keep that mindset that you are taking care of. You're being a steward of the time that God has given you. It's like somebody gave you a suitcase full of money and told you to spend it wisely. And you have to do something good with it because you're going to have to answer to that person how you spent it.
Mm-hmm.
There's one more thing that Will, you mentioned that I thought was really cool. I had never thought about this, called the Eisenhower Matrix. And for reference, Will is a manager. He has to deal with a whole lot of people and problems all the time. So, Will, can you elaborate about this Eisenhower Matrix and how it helps you manage time?
Absolutely. So the Eisenhower Matrix is a way to think about tasks, particularly as a leader. So it's just, if you will, picture with me a 2x2 grid, and you gentlemen can just look at this one, and the grid has two axes. From left to right, it is urgent and not urgent.
Okay.
Top to bottom, it's important and not important.
Okay.
So that top left square, of those four squares, is for tasks that are important and urgent.
Right.
These are things that you just do.
Right.
Right. If it's both important, like this is something you care about, this has impact on the world, this matters to people, and it's urgent, like now is the time to do it,
Right.
I'm trying to think of an example for this.
Like if there's a fire going on in the building,
yes,
you need to put out the fire.
That is
now.
horribly urgent and horribly
Right.
important,
Right.
Because your dog is in there,
Right.
like that's a big deal. So the urgent and important things you do.
Right.
The things that are important but not urgent,
Okay.
you schedule. So that's important to you. You should do those things, but they're not urgent, so not now.
Right.
But like Micah said, schedule it.
Right.
Just put a time down a different day, and just like, okay, whatever it is, I'm gonna at least try to do this on Tuesday at 9.
Right.
If it doesn't work, we'll figure it out from there. But schedule those things to make sure they happen. The things that are urgent but not important, if possible, you delegate.
Right.
This especially works in the workplace for me. That there'll be a problem I'll have to fix. Like, oh yeah, someone outside their iPad. We use iPads to take orders at Chick-fil-A.
Right.
And if it runs low on power, that can kind of screw you over because you're the one guy outside. You have to run all the way inside, replace the iPad. It sucks, right?
Right.
We want our guests to be taken care of. So I'll send someone else out there to get them a new iPad. I could do it, but that wouldn't be a wise management of time because they pay me this much, and I can also lead the team. I can also get them moving on tasks. I can also bag drive-through. So it's just more wise to do it through have someone else take care of it, if possible. And the things that aren't urgent and aren't important, just don't do, man.
Right.
And so the way I would use the Eisenhower Matrix is a way to evaluate what tasks really are.
Right.
And stop and go, okay, this is cool and all. What is this, right? So there's an ad on my phone and like, okay, I got a notification that's saying I should do Duolingo. Right. That's urgent. It's screaming at me. But is that actually important right now?
No.
I might go, no, not at all. Or I might go, yeah, I have nothing to do. My brain needs a break. I need that Pomodoro break. And yeah, I do want to learn Spanish. So maybe it is a little like organizing that and like looking at the task and going, you know what, this is not urgent and this is not important. So let's just hecking not do it. Sometimes I'm not organized in the head. I have to walk through it for a while, waste some time. But if you can learn to think in this matrix, that might help to, take hold, of your thoughts and to see things as they are. Right. And then do the things that are important, schedule things that aren't urgent, etc.
So the way that I'm going to process that is I am in charge of my time. I'm responsible for it. And people are trying to take that time or issues are coming to get my time, my bag of money. And I have two questions I ask myself. Do I need to do this? And when do I need to do this? Is that sort of how, would you say, how to process?
That's a great way to put it. And like, do I really need to do this?
Right.
And it's now really the time. So I would almost phrase it like a challenge. Right. Because everything's trying to eat up now. So the question is, do I really need to do this? Is actually important to me. And do I need to do this now?
To praise an old boss of mine, I had an old boss named Bartholomew Ritchie. He was the best boss I ever had. And the reason was because whenever I spoke with him, I never left his office until he had scheduled a time when we were going to meet again and deal with whatever I had mentioned. And so it could be the smallest little issue. Hey, I need to talk to you tomorrow about this thing. Okay, let's schedule a time. And having that strict rule of always scheduling before any conversation ended meant that he always had time in his day for dealing with the things. He never just forgot about things. So I think that having that ability or that discipline to schedule is what you need to be able to push things that are not urgent into that scheduling category. Yeah. But that's fantastic. I really like that. something I've noticed is with people that are struggling in life, usually they feel buried under a pile of things that are grabbing their attention. The car is breaking down, the kids are screaming. There's all these things going wrong.
Yeah.
And I think anybody, a housewife, a manager, anybody can practice that matrix of let's organize the voices screaming in my head for my attention.
Yeah.
Does this have to happen right now? Can I drive the car for another week on, the blinking engine light before I need to change it? Or does it need to happen right now?
Exactly.
Something that I have found success doing, because I'm starting a business and I was very overwhelmed with all of the things that need to happen, is I do a couple things each day, but I set a plan of, all right, I'm going to do that thing Thursday. I'm going to do this thing next Monday. And having that knowledge in my mind that this important thing can wait a couple days, so I'm going to deal with this other thing that's immediate.
Yeah.
That helps me a lot too, just to clear out my mental space.
Nice.
So
it's immaculate. The other cool thing that happens for me when I start thinking through that lens of what is important really and what is urgent really, is my life starts to feel more purposed.
Yes.
Because you'll notice some fun things happening, right, when you try to do this. At first, you'll be like, okay, what's important?
Right.
And you'll be like, oh, yes, the things that make me money are important. And so you're like, oh, yes, you're doing this thing. And if you're actually using the matrix, you'll end up only doing the things that make you money. And then you'll realize, like my wife hates me. How did that happen, man? It's like, oh, wait, so that's important too.
Right.
And so when you're really big brain about it, you start realizing, you start thinking about why things are important to you.
Yeah.
And you start making time for that explicitly. And so, I get to realize that, it is important that I show up early to work.
Right.
And it is important that I get to do something for my coworkers to show them that I care.
Right.
And it is important that I actually take a moment to pray because I haven't done that today. Right.
Yeah.
And it is important that I take a moment to breathe.
Right.
And to rest because I haven't done that today. Right.
Right.
Like whatever it is, but just taking that mindset, like what is really important.
Yeah.
And I think for me that helps me value conversations like these. We're like, no, this is important.
Right.
And I did an important thing today. I checked. And what I was doing was important. And now, as a man, I want to feel purposeful.
Right.
And it's happening.
Right.
Just because I stopped to think and I evaluated, oh, yeah, this is important. So I think it helps also to give you a sense of meaning.
Right.
Once you make sense of what's really going on.
Yeah. And that ties back to what Gabe said earlier about keeping your life in the perspective of seeking that purpose, right, that God has for you. You're not just willy-nilly bouncing around doing whatever grabs your attention. You are a ship with a destination,
right,
going in a direction, and becoming aware of that, like you said, helps you. Okay. Any closing thoughts, Gabe?
I have something written out in my phone that I typed, so it might sound a little scripted.
That's okay.
Ever since the Charlie Kirk assassination, the number one thing in my mind is the inevitable meeting of my Creator. I know I can never be worthy to stand in the presence of God, but God has placed me on this earth with a purpose. And when that time comes for me to face my Creator, I want to meet Him knowing that I fulfilled His purpose for me.
Amen.
Nice, yeah. And it seems like that, thinking back about what you said about, the mindset of stewardship and when you wake up, just do it. Just do it now. Setting times for things. That's a great way to make sure your life is purposeful.
Yeah.
And make sure you actually do the things that you need to do.
Yeah. So if I have understood y'all correctly, and I'm going to try to summarize this, when we are burdened down with all these stressful things and issues, it's like all these people, clamoring for our attention inside our mind, all these issues, and we triage that using the Eisenhower matrix. Do I have to do this? When do I have to do this? Mm-hmm. Once we've triaged and decided what's going to happen now and what's going to happen later, then we use the Pomodoro method. Is that correct?
Pomodoro, yes.
So to break that time down into chunks. Chunk, rest. Chunk, rest. Just like the gym. And that is how we are able to get our agency back, get our control of our life, and be that guy that's leading the friend group, leading our work.
100%, yeah. Thinking about that some more, I feel like to me it's about self-control, to tie it back to the virtue of the podcast, right?
Amen.
It's about being able to be smart about your resistance.
Right.
Because there's a million things pulling you every direction.
Right.
The fruit of that is kind of wasting your life.
Yeah.
But if you're going to resist, first of all, choose to resist. Second of all, be smart about it.
Right.
And so these are some ways to be smart about it.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I really need to do? how do I spend that time,
Right.
Okay, if this is a habit, how can I make that rewarding to
Right.
do, that kind of thing. And that's wonderful, because that is how you become effective people. So that's
Right.
what we talk about for the noble spirit.
Yeah.
It's about being effective so that when the times come,
Right.
and we need to be strong, that we actually
Right.
can be.
Right.
That we know how to use our little time. We know how to use it well.
Yeah.
And maybe through that we can actually make some kind of difference in the world that we live.
Amen.
And that is good.
Amen. Yeah.
So I've been William Gibson.
And this is Gabriel Stolaas.
And your host, Micah Sheldon. Thank you for listening to Virtue and Valor.